Well, good afternoon, and welcome to BBRC Britain and English. Well, it's a bright sunny day outside. I think it's the second hottest day of the year here. At least 80 degrees yesterday, and today what's about 75 degrees Fahrenheit. That's about 24 degrees Celsius if you're using metric. Well, today we're going to look at the city of York in North Yorkshire. You may remember last week we looked at London, and there'll be a few other cities to come as well. Today we look at York, the cultured Roman city of York in North Yorkshire. And by the way, I'm not putting a shirt and tie on today. Got a t-shirt on, it's so hot, but we're still using masks, certainly out in shops or on buses, so I presume you'll be glad when that's all over. There we are, the COVID mask. Well, I'm sure many of you coming from overseas would like to know more about this country, and I've tried to honour that request in the last few weeks. Certainly, York is a lovely place to visit, in contrast to London. Also got Roman history and quaint shops as well, shall we say, worth visiting. And certainly, you may want to consider it, even though it's quite a long way from London. But Yorkshire's a lovely county with a lot of cultured people and very cosmopolitan, shall we say. Well, it's also one of the top cities to visit in the United Kingdom. Well, it's formed by the ancient Romans in the 13th century and also has a 13th century minster there. And I'm sure you'd like to see that. It has historic streets, some going back to the 14th century. One in particular I can think of, which I have visited, is the Shambles. It's the oldest part of the city. I will list a few places to visit with the introduction there, so I will go through a few places, but of course you may have other suggestions of places you'd like to visit. These are in the city. There are places on the outside the city as well, but these are around the city, more or less walking distance. So I'll just go through a few places and then you can make your mind up, but there will be diverse suggestions here. Well, as I say, York Minster, dedicated to St. Peter. Impressive Christian heritage with the monks converting locals to Christ many centuries ago. Impressive stained glass windows, including a pilgrimage window. Well, the building was reconstructed after destruction of previous Saxon and Norman buildings in the area that were destroyed. And actually I should say there's been at least two fires in the last 40 years or so, 50 years. And your last one was about 1986, I believe. Caused a lot of vast damage to that lovely historic building. Well, those old buildings were mainly wooden buildings, so they were destroyed for the current building, built in the 13th century. Central Tower, you can climb it. Highest point in the city there, 230 feet high. You've also got, if you want to brave it, 275 steps. But your reward will be, on reaching the top, a lovely breathtaking view over the city centre. Well, the city is located within the city walls, going back all those centuries, perhaps the 14th century, 4 old gates. There's the Monk Bar, Wormgate Bar, Bootham Bar, and Micklegate Bar. You can obviously look at those when you go there and get a local map, which will give all the definitive information. Another place you might want to visit is Clifford's Tower. Well, there we are. The only surviving remain of the old York Castle, built by the Romans in 1068. The oldest remaining part is Clifford Tower. You can climb there and have a good look around, a good view. And constructed in the 13th century. And the tower was also infamous for a place of where the king would put the people he had executed on display. There we are. So, but today, expect something a bit more friendly, Stunning views over the town there, and over the city and local area. And there'll be a gift shop up there as well, for if you want to buy anything to be going on with. York Castle Museum is on the site of the original castle. You can see it. You can see various artifacts there. An old Victorian street, Victorian parlour, 17th century dining room, as well as a cellar of the old debtor's prison. A highlight of your visit may be seeing the condemned cell once acquired by the highwayman Dick Turpin. Going back to history, there we are. So it was occupied by Dick Turpin, I should say there, all those centuries ago. And the city is still a place of incarnation today, has been for over 1,000 years, with the York Crown Court still handling cases of serious crimes. Well, going back to what I alluded to earlier about the shambles, a bit more history here into detail about the shambles here. It says quaint street with overhanging buildings. You see it's very narrow, and it's quite an interesting, quaint place with a lot of history around there, and certainly a lot of timber frame buildings there overhanging the street, so they do over centuries they've slightly moved, gravity and everything else. Well, they were once known for the numerous butchers and also stalls that were there. There's also a market round there. If you go down the market day, there's also a shambles market just behind. But today, you're more likely to see shops, restaurants, tea rooms, boutiques, and other souvenir shops, so you can buy your postcards, etc., to send to your relatives, and various other artifacts there, which might interest you. There are another place, Jorvik Viking Centre. There we are. I think the old Viking name of York was Jorvik. It's at Coppergate. Documents the lives of the Vikings in the 9th century in York, and includes a reconstruction of some of the Viking dwellings there. Usually in normal times you can partake in reenactments to dress up like Vikings of the day. Of course, perhaps not in COVID times. I don't think they're open at the moment. Probably may have opened now, but certainly be aware of any restrictions and masks, etc. you might need. Usually in normal times you can partake in these reenactments of the day and other events that will be on at the Viking Centre. Another place just outside the town, next to the railway station actually, so you'll probably see it if you come in by train, is the National Railway Museum. Now I do know it attracts quite a few Japanese people and others. There is a bullet train there. I think it's been there about 10 years ago or so. Well, this is one of the major railway museums in the country, if not the major one. An impressive array of locomotives, both diesel and steam locomotives, from about 1820 to more modern times. They're including carriages used by Queen Victoria. Demonstrations do take place periodically, and there's a timetable they sometimes show, a turntable, I beg your pardon, they sometimes show, which turns the engines around. So it's a turntable which would have been used in many places in years gone by before before they could just drive the train from the other end. So it's all changed over the years. Right, serving royal travel needs is respected there with some of the old carriages used by Queen Victoria, and as I say, other memorabilia there and artifacts to be seen on display there, and all the write-ups and everything else there. Nice cafe there if you want that as well. I certainly recommend that. And also a big point here of interest, it's free entry, and certainly well worth looking at some of the paintings as well there. Sometimes they do have a big railway gala there, but that would be on their website certain times of the year. Another place to visit, Castle Howard, a bit further out of the city. Best to Google that one. York Museum and Gardens. There are Roman and Anglo-Saxon archaeological artifacts there, and a Viking sword. There we are, with a garden with 40 species of birds, shrubs and flowers. Another place, Stone Gate and Barley Hall. There we are, bustling pedestrianised shopping quarter with cobbled streets, shops and cafes. So all those places are good, eclectic choice there to visit if you'd like to go outside York as well. As I say, there's a few places there, including, as I say, Castle Howard there. Now, another place of interest and another area that put York on the map is confectionery. Now, you may know Kit Kats, Terry's All Gold, chocolate orange and things like that. It's all from York. Now, Terry's of York, probably heard of that, goes back to 1767. Sadly, taken over by Kraft in 2004 of America. The factory was closed in 2005. But still making the confectionery. And Roundtree's, you probably know Roundtree's, goes back to 1862. And, well, sadly, taken over by Nestle in 1988. And sadly, it saw its demise, really. But their name is still used on certain things, like I think it's fruit pastels, jelly babies, etc., some of them. But certainly, sadly, doesn't seem to have the prominence it's once had as the British confectioners there. And by the way, one of the top three there, the Fries, Cadbury's, and as well as Terry's there. Beg pardon. Terry's, Fries, and Cadbury's were the top three confectioners in this country, and they were all set up by Quakers, and the Quakers treated their workers very, very well. Well, looking at all that, I should say, also, you might want to know about a little bit of the history of that as well. Certainly, in terms of Joseph Terry, well, known for the chocolate orange, quite pleased to know, and to say with that, also Roundtree's now part of Nestle's producing the Kit Kat. It's very popular in Japan, so any Japanese who want to watch this, well, come over and sample some chocolate. And I'm not sure if they still make the Kit Kat here. I know there's an outpost in, I think, the factory in London. I'm not sure. I think Terry's now based in London. It's always taken. So another bit of history there, and a lot of changes with Kraft, and certainly with Terry's over the years, different mergers and everything else. And sadly, factory closed, and we should stop that happening, because I don't think it would happen with other companies in Europe. But there we are. But you may know Aeros, Smarties, After Eight, Black Magic. There we are, all from York. There we are. So Terry's, Joe's Roundtree's name used in some small way still today. And there's also the Joseph Roundtree Foundation to alleviate poverty and hardship and social exclusion. They got a very big charity going to try and alleviate that as well. And well, Terry's going between 1767 and 2005, but some of the products, as you know, as I say, still going today, but perhaps under the Kraft name, sadly. But anyway, final three places to visit and to do in anything to do in things we do in York. River-Ouse, you can walk down the river, have a lovely walk, see some lovely architecture, or catch a boat. There's scheduled boat trips normally, or actually you could hire a motorboat. See the lovely riverside architecture. There we are. And also, if you want to visit some of the churches, St Martin le Grand there, Coney Street, St Michael's in Spurriergate, Walworth, lovely historic picturesque churches there as well. So do enjoy your visit in York, and if you want to know anything else, do let me know. I can let you know further information if necessary, but I'll leave it there. You're very welcome to Google some of these places. Certainly a lovely place to visit. You can walk around York in a day, but I would say with museums and everything else, perhaps spend a few days there and enjoy it. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye now.